Have you ever wondered what could tear a nation apart, only to forge it anew, stronger than before? Today we're journeying back to a defining moment in American history, the Civil War. This wasn't just a series of battles. It was a profound struggle over the very soul of a nation. Imagine a country, not even a century old, deeply divided. In the North, industry was booming. Factories churned out goods, cities grew, and the economy was rapidly modernizing. Life was fast-paced, and society was increasingly built on free labor. The idea of progress was in the air. Meanwhile, the South presented a starkly different picture. Its economy was overwhelmingly agricultural, dominated by vast plantations growing crops like cotton and tobacco. This entire way of life was built on the institution of slavery. For many in the South, this wasn't just an economic system. It was a deeply ingrained social structure, a tradition they fiercely defended. These two Americas, one industrial and one agrarian, one free and one enslaved, were on a collision course. The core issue, the one that overshadowed all others, was slavery. As the United States expanded westward, the question became explosive. Would these new territories be free states or slave states? Every new state threatened to tip the delicate balance of power in Congress. Political compromises like the Missouri Compromise and the Compromise of 1850 were like temporary bandages on a deep wound. They tried to keep the peace, but they couldn't heal the fundamental division. Events like the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed settlers to decide the slavery issue for themselves, led to violent clashes in what became known as Bleeding Kansas. The nation was literally fighting itself before the war even officially began. Then came the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. Lincoln and his Republican Party opposed the expansion of slavery. For the southern states, this was the last straw. Believing their way of life was under direct threat, they began to secede, one by one, from the Union. Forming the Confederate States of America, Lincoln's primary goal was to preserve the Union, to hold the nation together. He famously said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." War was now inevitable. In April 1861, Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter in South Carolina, and the Civil War began. What followed were 4 years of brutal, bloody conflict. Battles like Antietam, the single bloodiest day in American history, and Gettysburg, the war's turning point, left scars on the land and the people. Families were torn apart, with brothers literally fighting on opposing sides. The war tested the limits of American endurance and courage. It was during this dark time that Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. While it didn't free all slaves overnight, it transformed the purpose of the war. It was no longer just about preserving the Union. It was now a fight for human freedom. This gave the Union a powerful moral cause and changed the course of history. After 4 long years, in April 1865, the Confederacy surrendered. The war was over. The nation was reunified, but the cost was immense. Over 600,000 soldiers had lost their lives, and the South was left in ruins. The period that followed, known as Reconstruction, was a difficult and complex effort to rebuild the South and integrate nearly 4 million newly freed African Americans into society. The Civil War answered 2 fundamental questions that had plagued the nation since its founding. It affirmed that the United States was an indivisible nation, not just a collection of independent states, and it ended the institution of slavery. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, formally abolishing slavery, granting citizenship, and giving voting rights to African American men. From the ashes of division, a new, more unified nation began to emerge. The journey was far from over, and the struggle for true equality would continue for generations. But the Civil War stands as a critical turning point, a painful yet necessary chapter that redefined America and set it on a new path toward fulfilling its promise of liberty and justice for all. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the past interesting, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history. See you next time.